The best munchie mix ever. Today I want to show you how to make your own cheesy snack mix. I'm going to start off by measuring a half a cup of oil. We're going to make our cheesy taco flavored oil. This was inspired by Doritos. I love chips and crunchy snacks, but it's really not something I want to keep in the house all the time and snack on all the time. But if you make your own snack mix, you can control the quality of the ingredients. To this oil, I'm adding some taco seasoning. This is my own blend. I make my own taco spice. There's chili powder, cumin, garlic, salt, pepper, all the good stuff. You can customize it your way, or if there's a brand that you like, you can go ahead and use that. And then cheese powder, so it's really easy. I did 2 tablespoons of my taco spice, and I'm gonna add in some cheese powder. Now this stuff is awesome. You can make your own DIY boxed mac and cheese. I've done that before. I'm gonna put 4 tablespoons of this in there. You can find really good quality ones, so this whole crunchy snack mix is all about controlling the quality of ingredients. This cheese powder is just cheese that's powdered. There's no extra nonsense in there. I think that was 3 going in 4. So I like when you can make a savory snack, even a sweet snack, but you can make it a little bit better. So you know what's in it, and you can control the flavors. Be really careful when you're mixing this. This powder can get everywhere. Cheese powder is really easy to find online. You can find different versions. I would read the ingredients, make sure it's one that you want to use. They're all pretty easy to use. You can rehydrate them, make a cheese sauce, add them to various dishes to get that cheesy flavor. So this is our taco cheese spice oil. You can stop right here, add this to your cereal mix, and just bake it. I'm gonna add a few additional flavor enhancements. Tomato bouillon powder you should be able to find in your grocery store. It's tomato powder, bouillon. There's a little MSG in here, which is a flavor enhancer. And yes, it's really good to use even in your snack mixes at home. So a little bit of this goes a long way, but it'll have that tomato tang in it, that savoriness from the bouillon powder, and that little bit of flavor boost from the MSG. You can also buy MSG and add it. And a little really goes a long way to enhance the flavor. I mean, sometimes I just put the smallest little pinch and it really heightens that flavor. Now, the last secret ingredient is some citric acid. This stuff has a little tang, so this will give you kind of that, you know, if you put lime on it, or if you have those like, you know, sour chips, a little citric acid is gonna go a long way. That's about a teaspoon. And that's just gonna wake things up, brighten it up, bring a little tang and sourness, balance out all those savory flavors. Mini dishes, whether you're making a snack mix, any recipe, you want a little sweetness, a little savoriness, a little tart with all these flavors, especially for a crunchy mix, is gonna be super good. There's that. We're gonna set this aside. You need a big bowl. Really helps here to mix all of our cereals. Starting off with some Chex Mix, corn and rice. I like a mixture of everything. They have the whole wheat varieties. I like to go for kind of the healthier cereals, I guess you could say. Whatever you like, you can use here. You can even do Cheerios or Rice Krispies. 2 cups of each cereal. I like the size of these Kix. And Kix, when is the last time you had Kix? But in this snack mix, these are great. These have a little sweetness in it, so that will bring in the sweetness to the recipe. And then some pretzel twist. If you overmeasure, overpour, that's totally fine. Now for added crunch, I love these. They're called nibblers, okay. But the sourdough pretzel bites, these are so good. They're really doughy. I might do a little more of these because I love them. So in here, you have so many flavors, textures. I like the different sizes. That's what's fun about a snack mix is you can add a whole bunch of different ingredients. You can even do some nuts in here. Some almonds would be great, peanuts. I've seen snack mixes like this that have pumpkin seeds. It's kind of like a savory trail mix, which essentially you could probably do this with trail mix. Do some oats and make it cheesy instead of sweet. Might have to try that next. So then our flavored cheesy spiced oil. Speaking of spice, if you want things with a little bit more kick, I'd add some cayenne, some chili flake, just something to bring a little spice into here. They even have jalapeno powder that you could add in. Now all this just gets a good mix. You want everything really well coated, but be gentle, kind of fold things in. You don't want to crush up the cereals. You want to keep everything intact, but get everything really well coated. So if things are looking a little dry, you can add a little bit more oil, but if they're looking a little oily, go ahead and add a little bit more seasoning to this or a little bit more cereal. So this is where you can kind of adjust things. This is looking great. A lot of Chex Mix recipes, you can use butter. I like the olive oil, I like the flavor, and olive oil's a little bit more of a healthier fat for you. We're gonna cook this on a low temperature temperature, so it's perfect to use for olive oil. You could also use avocado oil if you like that. Have that on hand. It really is just to hydrate the seasonings and get them coated evenly. But don't use water, don't use any liquids that'll add moisture. That will defeat the crunch factor that we're going for. This is looking great. And then I always give it a little taste before I bake it, just to make sure my seasonings are right. If I need a little bit more of that acid from the citric acid. Ooh, there's definitely some tang in there from the citric acid and a lot of cheesy flavor from the cheese powder. I'm gonna add a little more taco seasoning, just for a little bit more flavor and spice. Oh, I can really smell the cumin in there. Such a huge cumin fan. Little chili powder, plenty of garlic powder in there. I mean, this is starting to look like some of my favorite chips and salty snacks, but we got some good ingredients, some cereals in there, a really fun, customized snack mix. I have my sheet pan here with my silicone baking mat. Now you can switch up the flavor profile here. I have some Caribbean jerk seasoning in my cabinet. You can make a jerk mix. I found this tikka masala seasoning. You could do that, and crispy chickpeas would be great in here if you made a tikka masala mix. Ooh, I'm gonna do that next. I'm thinking of all these ideas while I'm making this. Let's focus on this. So really the options are endless. Just start with that oil base, mix in your seasonings, and you're good to go. I have an oven preheated to 275. This is gonna go in there. It takes about 45 minutes to just set the oil, set the spices, let everything marry together. And then you wanna stir it about every 15 minutes. So what I do is I set a 15-minute timer, and then set another 15-minute timer, and then set another 15-minute timer. That equals 45 minutes, right? Yeah, should. That math adds up. There. Speaking of timers, so this is gonna go in the oven, and movie magic, I already have one in there. Ta-da! Oh, I can really smell this, and it's cheesy, powdery. Actually, in this batch, I put a little extra cheese powder. I wanted this one really cheesy. And that's where the customization comes from. Even when you make different batches, go ahead and play around, experiment, try new things. But the base is really just some taco seasoning, some cheese powder, or any other blend you wanna go with. So you want this to cool off, and as it cools, it'll get crunchy again. We can give it a little warm, toasty taste. A little hot. That's so good. Salty, savory, that background, that subtle background tang. That's what I love about customization. Some of those store brand mixes, they're good, they're flavorful, but they might have more pretzels than you want or more peanuts than you want. They're never the ratio, the blend that you want. So you can do that yourself. When you make your own, you can add more pretzels. If you like more pretzels, you can add nuts. You can swap ingredients out if you don't like them. So take inspiration, go down that snack aisle, see what they have, and then make your own. That's what I love to do at the grocery store. See what prepared stuff is there and be like, okay, I wanna do that, but I don't want this in there, but I wanna add this. Speaking of adding, I'm gonna do one more step. I'm gonna put this back in the bowl. I mixed it in carefully without making a mess. There we go. This first batch, I went excessive on the cheese powder, but it's gonna be a lot of flavor. Oh, it's so good. And I love the crunch. Crunchy snack, you have me. Now, one more addition that you don't normally find in snack mixes, but I'm a big fan of popcorn. So we're just gonna add a little bit of popcorn for extra texture, extra crunch. Now, I didn't bake the popcorn, because the popcorn has a tendency to overcook, dry out. So crispy popcorn, or you could just pour some popcorn in the last like 5 minutes or so just to crisp it up a little bit and then mix it in. But that popcorn will get all that residual seasoning. Perfect. I can already see that the popcorn's picking up a lot of that extra powder. It's perfect. Now I like to portion this in individual containers, or have a big jar that I'm just gonna pack this in. You want this cool before you pack it away. Just let it sit out until it gets to room temperature. And then you could portion it in containers or a big jar like this. It's probably the least efficient way of trying to funnel this in here, but it's fun. And I like the sound of the cascading crunchies. Or maybe you do a scoop for the jar, one for me. A scoop for the jar, one for me. What I love the most about these is just about having fun, experimenting with flavors and recipes and ingredients. I had this cheese powder sitting around and I said, what could I do with that? And I'm like, oh, I love Doritos. Can I make my own? And I was like, oh, I don't want to fry chips or buy prepared chips and put a powder on them. I'm like, what about Chex Mix? That's easy, that's fun to make. And here we are. The results are crunchy, savory, and delicious. So many textures. Give it a try and let me know what flavor combinations are your favorite.